Hello everyone, welcome back to AK FPL. We're going to be looking at the game week 17 results. I got 68 points. The average points for the week was 56. 68 points was enough. Climb very slightly in the rankings. I got a small 77k to 70k. I made 2 free transfers. I brought in Stones in for Charlie Taylor for Burnley because he was injured, and I also bought in Rob Holding in for Branthwaite from Everton, who was a non-playing defender. So I thought I'd shore up the defence ahead of game week 18, where both Arsenal and City have fixtures in game week 18, and both of them looked set for at least 2 clean sheets in game week 17. So pretty pleased, given that I didn't have double Spurs in my team. I had Son, but I didn't have Kane. And the thing which I feel fortunate about is that I didn't win captain a Spurs player, even though both Son and Kane did really well. So after the Spurs game, my rank went down almost half. I almost went down to 140k, purely because so many people around me captained Kane or Son, or had both of them in their team. So considering that I didn't have double Spurs or I didn't win captain a Spurs player, I feel quite fortunate to have got Green Arrow this week. But the reason for that is because I had other players that brought in some points. So a few differentials in my team were Rob Holding, who got 10 points because he got a bit of a jammy assist in the Arsenal game. And then Kevin De Bruyne, who I just kept through this run. While everyone else was selling Kevin De Bruyne, I just sort of kept him, and he got a goal and an assist and 2 bonus. And the game week would have been even better if Man City kept a clean sheet, but they lost it right at the end against Chelsea. So if Cancelo and Stones kept that clean sheet, I would have been looking at close to an 80-point week, which would have been a really, really massive rise in the ranks for me. The other disappointing part, I'd say, of my week was the captaincy. I went for Salah thinking that Liverpool are probably going to score against Southampton, even though Southampton are pretty good defensively. They lost their first choice keeper McCarthy due to COVID, so Forster came in as a backup, and I thought after seeing that, okay, Southampton's defence isn't going to be that great at the moment, surely Liverpool are going to win here. But they played so well, Liverpool were just completely off form, and Salah just came away with a blank, which was a bit frustrating. So there's a difference about 11 points if I captained Son over Salah. So again, that decision did cost me a bit, but I'm not going to complain. I mean, overall, I'm quite happy with the fact that I got a Green Arrow in the end. Would have been nice to have got some more points ahead of the blank game week in 18, because I'm probably not going to have a great team compared to people who are free hitting and wildcarding in 18. But it is part and parcel of the game. You sort of take your decisions as they come, and you sort of have to live with them. So next time, I'm probably going to keep the captaincy a bit more flexible. I thought Salah was a pretty safe choice, but he's blanked now in the last 3, so I might have to consider other people as we go on. So we're just going to look at game week 18 next. So game week 18, this is the game week where there's quite a lot of blank fixtures for a lot of teams. But there are 3 pretty good fixtures, which I think we can target either, even if you're not playing any chips, or if you're like me, who was sort of planning their team accordingly. There's Man U versus Burnley, which is a good fixture there. Man City versus Brighton. And then Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. So for anyone getting in players from these teams, Man U, I think everyone has Fernandes pretty much. A lot of people are considering doubling up on their attack and getting Rashford or Martial and a defender, Maguire or Wan-Bissaka. Man City, I think most people are planning on getting Kevin De Bruyne in. So you can see that a lot of people are taking Salah out to get KDB back in. And most people are either going to double up on a Man City attack and get either like a Sterling in or a Foden, or double Man City defence, which is possibly going to be a bit more popular. With the likes of Cancelo, Stones and Diaz. The other fixture, which I think is pretty good to target, is Arsenal versus Palace. Now, Arsenal have been on a pretty good run of form lately, and they've got a lot of good emerging value players in their team, such as Saka, Smith Rowe, and Tierney. So I think if you're on a wild card or on a free hit, Arsenal players are definitely ones to get in there, because not a lot of people are going to have them from those who aren't using their chips, such as myself. I think if you are on a free hit, these are the type of players that I would sort of base my team structure around. Now, again, I've mainly gotten the players from those 3 fixtures, but I've also gotten a few players like Wilson, who I think has a good fixture against Sheffield United, who have just had an absolutely poor season. So I think Wilson's a good pick up front. I think your back line, I think you'll do pretty well if you have a Man City defender, maybe in a second Man City defender if you don't plan to double up on their attack. The other 2 teams who I think could keep clean sheets are Arsenal and Man United. So I've gone for Wan-Bissaka, but I think if you went for Maguire, he offers a good aerial threat from set pieces. Kieran Tierney got an absolute monster haul last week. He could do really well this week as well. Very, very attacking fullback. I think in midfield, again, if you want to double up on the Man U attack, Fernandes is a given, but I think Rashford and Martial are probably your best bets after that. Rashford, I think, is possibly a safer choice than Martial at the moment, because Cavani could share minutes up front with Martial. So I think Fernandes and Rashford's a really good combination. The only thing I'd say about that is the Burnley game could be a bit of a cagey affair. Burnley are known to just set up shop and just defend, but I think if Man U just get 1 goal, it really will open up the floodgates. As for if you're going for the Man City attack, I think after Kevin De Bruyne, you're looking at players like Sterling or Foden, possibly Aguero. He's coming back from injury, but he hasn't really had that many minutes under his belt. Sterling I like as a pick. I think not many people are going to have him, and he's got the potential to get an absolute mega haul. So if I was free hitting, I'd definitely have Sterling in. And I've got Son in here as my 5th midfielder, but it could be an Arsenal midfielder like Saka. I think Saka's done really well. But Son is more the fact that I'm not really sure how the Villa-Spurs game is going to pan out. It could be... Villa have been really good defensively, and so have Spurs. So I think Spurs might approach the game similar to how they did against Leeds. I think they will let Villa come at them, and they're going to hit Villa on the counter like how they did against Leeds. But the thing about Villa is they're not going to defend like how Leeds defended. They're a lot more resolute at the back. They've just got better defense, and that's been shown in their stats. They've got joint top highest clean sheets this season. So I think that's going to be a really close game. So the only reason I've got Son in there is because Spurs players are so highly owned. So I think if they do well, and if you don't have a Spurs player, you're probably going to come out of game week 18 with potentially with a red arrow. So I can't fit Kane and Son into my free hit draft. So I've gone with Son because it's cheaper. If you prefer Kane, that's also an option as well. And then up front, I've gone for Callum Wilson, as I said before, because Sheffield United are just poor defensive team. And I've gone for Lacazette, who I think, again, is a good differential. He's done really well in the last few games. Arsenal in general picked up form, and he looks like he's back into some good form as well. So Lacazette is a really good differential choice. So my plan is, well, initially it was just to navigate game week 18 with 9 players. So at the moment I've got Martinez in goal, double Man City defence, an Arsenal defender, Grealish, De Bruyne, Fernandes, Son, Calvert-Lewin. So that gives me 9 players, and I've got Davis from Aston Villa, who's probably going to make a sub appearance, so I'm not really counting Davis. That's 9 players plus Davis, which is actually pretty good considering I'm not making any transfers or taking any hits or using any chips. So that will be the plan in case no other fixtures get cancelled. But I think if further fixtures do get cancelled, and I think there is talk about postponing the Villa Spurs game, that's going to take out 3 of my players in this team, and I'll be left with 6 players. And I think that's just not feasible to go into game week 18 with 6 players. So I think if that is the case, I'll have to free hit, and I'll get in some of the players that I mentioned before. So I'm going to wait on the news for that. My plan will just be to hold the free transfer for this week, because I want to have 2 free transfers for game week 19 in order to make a bench boost side. So my current captain is on Kevin De Bruyne. I think most people are going to captain him. Other good choices are probably Fernandes, Outside of that, you're looking at sort of punts like Sterling, Rashford, Lacazette potentially. But I think Kevin De Bruyne is probably going to be the most captain player for this week. And yeah, I'll probably just leave it there. Obviously, if you're still deciding on what transfers to make, whether to play your chips or not, just keep your eyes on the latest football news because things are just constantly changing every single day. If you're new around here, please comment if with your team selections, who you think you're bringing in, what kind of chip strategy you're going for this week. And if you're new, just hit the subscribe button. And I'll see you next game week for a brand new video.